Well, President Donald Trump is expected to be in a New York federal courtroom again this morning to attend the second day of the defamation damages trial involving the writer E. Jean Carroll. Trump was in court yesterday for jury selection, but left before opening statements to attend that campaign rally we showed you in New Hampshire. Already been found liable for defaming Carroll in 2019 while he was president for mocking her sexual assault claim against him. In this trial, jurors will be asked to figure out how much money Trump will have to pay in damages. Carroll is expected to testify today. Her team is asking for at least $10 million. Joining us now, MSNBC legal analyst Danny Savalas. So, Danny, Trump continued to defame Carroll and criticize the judge on his Truth Social account. There was even a split screen where Trump was sitting there in the courtroom, but his Truth Social account was still posting about her at the same time. Trump didn't have his phone. It was clearly a staffer doing it for him. But talk to us about the impact of his continued criticism. What could that mean?
Well, first of all, it's always possible that Trump could defame E. Jean Carroll again. And since so many of these issues have already been decided through a principle called res judicata, it just means that if the issue's already been decided in litigation involving the same parties, then you don't have to relitigate it. And we've seen that in this case. It's possible the plaintiffs could even seek to introduce this as evidence of Trump's hatred, ill will, or spite. And those magic words are things the plaintiffs need to prove in order to establish punitive damages, which ordinarily are really difficult to quantify. That's why they could be $100,000. They could be $10 million. Really what the plaintiffs want here is a number that's big, but not so big that the appellate division will overturn it as too big, which is a possibility.
So, Danny, I mean, Trump is clearly using every courtroom appearance really as a campaign event to rally his supporters and even raise some money. Is there any other strategic reason for him to have been in courtroom yesterday? And again, he only stayed for part of the proceedings, coming back today. Is it also an attempt in some ways to maybe try to intimidate Carroll?
Possibly, or maybe even, I don't want to say intimidate, but influence the jury with his mere presence. Because other than that, strategically, I can't imagine why a client like Donald Trump would want to be present for trial during jury selection, unless it's to kind of subtly influence the jury. Because otherwise, in federal court especially, jury selection is mostly run by the judge. The attorneys have much less involvement than they do in state court in New York, where they're heavily involved. If you're Donald Trump and you really want to attend a trial, you attend the actual testimony of witnesses, which he may do. But look, in civil cases, there's no requirement for a party to be there every single day. And of course, logistically, it is a big pain for both the courts and everybody involved to have a former president come in and attend one of his trials. So really, ultimately, it's not about strategically in terms of helping his case. As you suggested at the outset, it's probably strategically more politically so for him to attend his case and use it as a podium, perhaps, to speak outside the courthouse.
So, Danny, as mentioned, E. Jean Carroll will testify today. What do you expect we'll hear from her?
The effect that these statements, and in particular the 2019 statements that Donald Trump made about her, how they affected her, how they damaged her, how they caused her pain, all of those are factors relevant in determining not only her compensatory damages, but also punitive damages. And then expect the plaintiff to shore that up, the plaintiff's team, with evidence of Donald Trump's intentional acts in defaming her. Not that he just did it recklessly, but that he did it intentionally to warrant punitive damages.
And Danny, give us a sense of the timeline as to how long this trial will last. And you did mention that Trump will have an appeal option if he wants it. How long could that take?
This trial will move very quickly compared to all the other trials that Donald Trump's involved in, and that's because the issues have been narrowed so significantly. We're only talking about damages here. Plus, we're in federal court, which usually moves very efficiently, and because there are so many issues removed from the case, there is very little evidence that needs to be put up. And that's why, for example, Donald Trump will be limited in the amount of evidence that he can put on. He will not be allowed to put on evidence that E. Jean Carroll is lying, that this is false, that this is a political witch hunt. All of that stuff's going to be out because this is really about damages, compensatory and punitive damages.
And of course, we will have complete coverage of E. Jean Carroll's appearance later today.